So I decided to let a tuner tune my car because I'm just running out of time in my days to futz with this car. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the tuner to get back to me on a date when I can get things tuned, I went ahead and ordered the the quieter oil pump. I got it from TURBOWERX, and they're located in Texas. And I ordered it Tuesday. They dropped it in the mail, and I got it a couple days later. So I've just read online that these things are supposed to be significantly quieter. It's also a different style of pump. It's a vane style pump, which I'm hoping will draw a little bit of a vacuum so that I can mount the oil pump a little bit higher up, and I don't have to worry about messing anything up. Lots and lots of peanuts. Nothing else? Just peanuts. Let's take a look at the pump here. Ooh, there it is. Let's see. It's open. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It came with weather pack connectors. That is awesome. Wow, it's lighter than the other one. So here's the other one for a size comparison. This one is bigger, but I think it's only bigger because of this heat sink. Nice insulation here. Now, I wonder if my fittings that I already have are going to work. Ooh, look at that. Yes, okay. That means this other one should work also. Look at that. Awesome. All right, so now I want to do a bench test and see what the difference is in the noise. I'll put up part of the video where I had it inside the car earlier whenever I was doing the install. So this guy, I had it insulated with a neoprene. I had a little piece of hose left, so I cut it in half, made it flat, and I had it mounted on this neoprene. And then these, I actually had some old inner tubes stacked up on top there that went on the other side, so it pinched like this, and it was still making all kinds of noise. So let's set up a bench test. All right, you can turn it off. All right, so I have a battery charger here. I've got it set up on 12 volts, 6 amps. This is rated for 12 volts, 6 amps. So let's see what kind of racket we get with this guy. It's actually drawing more vacuum than I thought it would. All right, now let's do the TURBOWERX. Now this one is 12 volt, but it's rated a little bit less. It says that it's only going to draw a maximum of 3.5 amps. So let's see what happens. Wow. You just about can't even, well, it's significantly quieter, that's for sure. All right, let's hook it up to the car, see what kind of difference it makes. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to figure out if this thing is capable of drawing a vacuum, because I actually need to have this pump mounted, I don't know, 6 inches above the turbo drain So I've got some just regular 530 oil in here. I used it to catch whenever I changed the oil block-off plate and so on. So this is just 530 oil that was actually in the Corvette at one point. So I am going to try and see if it draws a vacuum. Sure does. Let's see what happens when I pick it up a little bit. Not much. Well, it's definitely self-priming. Well, that works really well. Got the old oil pump, and I want to do the same test with the old oil pump. Wow. It definitely flows more, but boy, it's way louder. Okay, so I got me a bracket made for mounting my TURBOWERX pump. So the pump is going to mount here, and this part down here is going to be pinching the subframe so that I don't have to drill holes in my subframe. There's one thing I wanted to point out about this TURBOWERX pump. It has these spacers that go in the grommets, which is pretty cool because that means you can't over tighten it. That's as tight as you can make it. You can't squish it down any further than that. Well, that's important because to insulate the pump from the metal frame and from any sort of vibration, there are these rubber grommets that are a certain size. You can see there's some amount on the back here, so even whenever I mount my plate to it, there's still going to be some amount of space between my plate and the pump. These rubber insulators don't need to get squished down. If I pinch it between two things, I can squish that and eliminate the space between my pump and whatever I'm mounting it to, which is why these little spacers come in so handy. They fit in there, and they're just a tiny bit smaller than these rubber grommets so that I get some bite on these rubber grommets, but I don't squish it. Another thing I wanted to point out is the hole that the rubber grommet goes in is actually pretty good size, which means if you just use a bolt with the head like that, there's a chance that your pump could fall off of your grommets because that bolt head is actually smaller than the hole that this rubber grommet fits in. So I would recommend using a really big washer that covers up the entire grommet so that whenever you put your bolt through there, it's going to pinch on the washer and there's no way your pump can fall off of your grommet. So that's one thing that I really like about this TURBOWERX pump, other than the fact that it's quieter and lighter. The other thing that's just tickled me pink is that they included these weather pack connectors. So it's just like a factory install, and they're super easy. All you do is tidy up your wire. You slip this guy on there, and then you just crimp the little tabs in place. So you got my wire crimped in. You slide over your weather seal. Oh, where did I put that plug? So it fell on the ground, sorry. All right, so now I'm going to slide. There's a groove right here on the top, so it fits in like that. Pokes in there like that. My groove on this one. Pokes in there like that. And now I have a very factory, very weatherproof connection. There's a rubber grommet in there. And then whenever this guy mates up, that rubber grommet seals everything in place. So now I don't ever have to worry about rust or corrosion down inside this connection. And then it just pops apart that easy. I just love that they included those. It's just the little things, like the aluminum that it's made out of is a lot higher quality. There's just a bunch of little things that I'm really impressed with about this pump. One thing that you do need to worry about is, because I'm actually using metal fittings, is you need to put Teflon tape around this guy to help seal it up inside there. So I'm going to do the exact same test I did on the oil pump that I used to have on there. I got everything hooked up and I just want to test the wiring. So I'm going to go connect the pump at the front of the car to the battery and just let the video camera play and see what it sounds like in comparison. You can hear the pump. You can hear the pump's kind of annoying. Well, I've done everything I can do to silence the pump. I think I'm just going to get a different style of pump that's a lot quieter. But at least I know it's there, that's for sure. Which is really great whenever I'm troubleshooting all this stuff. Okay, now the RPMs have settled down. We're at about 750 because everything is cold. Yeah, coolant temperature is really cold. Everything's really cold right now. It's like 45 degrees outside. I can hear it humming, but just barely. I have to listen for it, and I can hear it. To be honest, I'm okay with just a faint hum. That way I don't have to rig up some kind of buzzer system or some kind of flashing light if I don't hear it. But I'm holding good oil pressure, which means it's actually pumping the way it's supposed to. Car as a quick comparison. Drive around the block so you can see the difference in the noise of the oil pump. As soon as you start driving, you can't hear it at all. Just a very Neighborhood speeds right now 25 miles an hour, 1500 RPM. I'd love to get it up to a higher speed, but the car is in the middle of being tuned right now, so I just have a base tune in it, which is very basic values. Most of all of the tables are zeroed out right now, and I can't go out and do any major pulls. It's 30 degrees right now, and there's still ice on the road, so I'm waiting for an opportunity to get some clean weather so I can go out and do some pulls on some closed roads I've got in mind. Can't even hear that oil pump. Man, that was money well spent. In case you're wondering, the guy that sells these turbo kits, Phobia Street, he has decided to do away with the old-fashioned pump. Flows a ton of oil, but a lot of people besides me are complaining about the noise. So, you know, the price of the kit went up just a little bit, but now it ships with the same pump that I've got installed on this vehicle. So, you know, if you have any worries about that particular kit, you're going to get this pump, this same exact pump in that kit. But man, I tell you what, I am very happy with this TURBOWERX pump. Clean install, high quality parts. You get what you pay for, that's for darn sure. So just a little more aggressive on the acceleration. So now I'm out on a major road, speed limit's a little bit higher, you know, driving like I would normally drive. Can't even hear it. Still just that really faint buzz. I've got to focus and think, is that pump there? Sorry, my electronic assistant's yelling at me about my seatbelt. So there you go. That's the difference between the pump that I had and this TURBOWERX vane style Spartan pump. If I was going to do an oil scavenge system, which I have, that would be my pump choice, which I chose.